let's now really the Son of Sam case. If you could talk about what that was like.
Well, you want how it started?
Yeah.
Okay. In January of '77, there was a girl named Christine Freund murdered in Forest Hills, Queens. In fact, I believe it was January 30th, 1977. That day, I'm transferred from the arson explosion bomb squad to the Queens homicide squad, and they give me that case. At that time, they don't know that it's a serial killer. They think it's a boyfriend had it killed because they were having trouble. He was in a car with her when she got shot.
Right.
John Deal was his name. So that's the avenue they were approaching. When I get there, I go to see the ballistics people. And there's a ballistics detective named George Simmons, who I interviewed. And the guy used an unusual gun. It was a .44 caliber Charter Arms Bulldog. That was the name of the gun. The gun was originally designed and manufactured for the purpose of sky marshals, to stop hijackers. And the reason for that was this gun, when you pulled the trigger, it was a high caliber gun, but the bullet would tumble out as opposed to coming out like a regular bullet. And it wouldn't penetrate the fuselage of the plane. That's why it was made. That's why the gun was unusual. So, because it was unusual, it became our biggest ally, because we could narrow it down to a couple of 100,000 instead of a couple of million.
Yeah.
So I go to the ballistics guy and I said, George, what do you think? He said, Joe, I think we've got a psycho here. You know, because prior to that killing, there were 2 incidents the previous year, one in October, one in November, where there were shootings where nobody was killed. Well, I'm sorry, there was one in July where a girl was killed, another one in October where nobody was killed, just shot, November, shot, not killed. And they were all Charter Arms, .44 caliber bulldogs. So the ballistics guy says, I can't prove it because the bullets were so mangled, I can't match them. But he says, I'm telling you, you got a psycho here. Based on what he tells me, I go along with his line. I go back to my bosses and I say, we got a psycho here. Fuck you, what are you going to cause a panic in the city? What are you crazy? No way this is. And so we proceed along every avenue of investigation on the Freud homicide. But I'm consulting with the people in the Bronx who had the first one, which turned out to be one of his too. We're going along that path until March of 1977, about a month and a half. When a girl named Virginia Voskerichian was killed walking the street at 7:30 at night in Forest Hills. She was a Columbia University student studying Russian history. Bright, brilliant girl. We get the bullet from that body, and we bring it back to the same ballistics guy, and he gets a hit. He connects that bullet to the first one in July of '76. Now we know that he was right. And that's when the task force is formed. Then we bring in people from all over the city. We have a couple more incidents after that, and we finally catch him on August 10th of 1977.
What was that like when you caught him?
Oh, forget about it. It was like, it was a feeling of, let me just give you my feelings. During the course of this investigation, I'm in charge of the night operation, meaning let's catch him in the act. The Son of Sam was because you didn't know what you were dealing with. He was such an unknown, and my job, my total function was to capture him in the act of doing what he was doing.
Yeah.
I worked only nights. I worked 7 at night till 7 in the morning, without a day off. And our whole deal was to try to catch him in the act. And then it would have turned into a gun battle, so that was apprehension. There was 13 people either killed or injured in his rampage there for that period of time. As soon as we got to the scene of a crime, that people didn't know what it was, and we got there, and I handled Son of Sam from beginning to end. As soon as I got there on that last one, Moskowitz and Valenti, I knew immediately it was Son of Sam. My own bosses argued with me. They said, how do you know that? Well, all of a sudden you're a ballistics expert? I said, no, just the way it was done and how it was done. You know? I knew immediately it was the Son of Sam. Now, I had it in my mind that when we catch this guy, we're going to kill him. Okay? Unfortunately, when we caught him, the circumstances were such where he couldn't be killed. But after I saw those bodies, in particular one in the Bronx, I mean, it became like I have a daughter. When you look at it, it just drives you absolutely mad. The day they capture him, they bring me into police headquarters to question him, because me and another guy were the 2 people most knowledgeable about all the crime scenes, so we could get down to the nitty-gritty. I walked into that room, I was like enraged. I walked in, I interviewed the guy for 2 hours. He never blinked his eyes. It was like talking to that ashtray, you know? I mean, it was like a complete vegetable. After I saw what I was dealing with, my rage subsided. I mean, you can't, you know, we wanted to kill him, we wanted to take him out.
Yeah.
But once you talk to somebody like this, you can't. You couldn't possibly if you knew you were dealing with a vegetable.
Yeah,
That was
yeah.
completely off the wall. Not, so that was the feelings. We wanted to do away with him, we wanted to take him out.
Yeah.
But then when we saw what we had, not that we were glad that we did, we were glad
Right.
finally that he pled guilty.
Yeah.
Because if that case went to trial, there would have been severe problems. He might even beat it.
Hmm.
You know? Because there were
That's-
faulty police work done, there was faulty, there was a lot of things that were at fault. But he pled guilty. He never went to trial. And he didn't plead insanity, he pled guilty.
Yeah.
So that shows you what a nut he was.
I think that's crazy to believe that he could almost beat something like that.
There are rules and regulations. There's constitutional matters. There's, like in the Berkowitz case, I'll give you one. The search warrant was 100% faulty. They would have thrown that right out the window. And what do we lose when we lose that? We would have lost the gun. And the gun was the most critical part of the thing.
Right.
He had the gun in the car. The guy who drew the search warrant did a 100% faulty search warrant. Illegal search warrant, if you want to come right down to it. But thank God he pled guilty, because if that became an issue at trial, probably never would have gotten to trial. It would have been suppressed because it was a faulty search warrant.
When he was captured, was it true he was going out to the Hamptons or something to?
Yep. In fact, when he was captured on the backseat of the car, it was a machine gun. But he wanted to be killed in that one, because you know the Hamptons.
Right.
There's only one road out.
Yeah.
He knew he was going to get grabbed out. So I was the first one to interview him, me and another sergeant by the name of Dick Connell. And we sat with him for 2 hours, and he went through chapter and verse every homicide in detail. That's when we knew we had the right guy. It was like Dwight Clark catching the ball in the end zone
Exactly.
for 49ers back in, was it 80,
Yeah.
83?
Against the
It was-
Cowboys.
It was like that.
Yeah.
It was like exhilaration
Mm-hmm.
that he was caught. But you had to deal also with your own feelings that you wanted to take him out. And then when you get the opportunity to go into a room one-on-one with him, and you change your mind because of what he is,
Yeah.
and that's significant too. I no longer wanted to kill him. What scares me about that case, and during the course of that case, we were definitely from January to August, I must have interviewed hundreds of people, worse than he is. Nuts that would give
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
But it's still out there. I mean, complete raving lunatics that are outpatients from mental institutions, Creedmoor, Central Islip, Jacoby Hospital. I mean, incredible that it's still out there.